everyone, welcome to TMI Live. Hopefully you can hear me and you can see me. Just literally just got over to my recording location. As you can see, it's very different from my usual studio. I am in Los Angeles right now, over at my mother's house, actually, the house that I grew up in. Literally got off of a Uber through LA traffic and on my flight. We were about an hour delayed overall, which is the reason why the show started late. Also, my guest who was supposed to join us today, we're going to be talking about AI and marketing. Well, obviously he's not available. Well, it should be obvious, but he's not available now because of the delay. He had a prior appointment at this time, so I'm going to have to reschedule with him. So it's going to be a little bit of an unusual episode today, but then again, unusual circumstances. But I'm glad everybody was able to still join me. At least some of the folks who are our usuals. We have Hillbilly out there. We have Tim Mooney, and we have Mark Morris and Jay Delta. Thank you guys for showing up and bearing with me here. Just let me know if you can hear me okay, if I'm coming through. I didn't have a chance to do a troubleshoot on my setup here, so I'm not 100% sure. Plus, there's that annoying light switch over there. So let me just turn this, and hopefully you can see me better. But let me know on the side chat how I'm coming through. Okay, Tim Mooney says 5x5, so that's good. Gets a good indication. And Hillbilly says it sounds great. Very good. All right, so let's get started. Well, we have our usual sponsors today. We have Aura, which is an online cybersecurity company that I use. Use my link, aura.com/moondog, and try them out for free for 14 days. They're a great service. They offer a wealth of services that you usually have to pay individually to different companies, like credit monitoring, spam blockers, fraud alerts, and data broker removal services, and VPN. Usually you'll have to sign up for what, like a half dozen different companies. Here you're just paying one low monthly fee. Plus, when you have an account, they give you $1 million in identity theft insurance. And if you're traveling, even sporadically, not as much as I did when I was working in advertising full time, but even just traveling with your family, you're going to be hooking onto Wi-Fi wherever you can. And you don't always know the security level of the Wi-Fi router that you're on. That's why a VPN is always important. So, like I said, try them out. Here's a little pro tip here, is try them out while you're traveling. Before you travel, set up an account. That way, you can use the 14 days while you're on your trip. How's that? Okay, how's that for a bonus? So try them out. Aura.com/moondog. And if you do try them out, this channel gets a little bit of a commission for everybody who tries them out. So I appreciate that. And also, our other sponsor today is Venice.ai, who was actually very helpful in creating the thumbnail for the previous attempt at the episode. But I actually was using Venice to create the images for the thumbnail. They're a great AI chat and image generation service. And if you've used anything like ChatGPT, Gemini, or any of the AI companies out there, what they lack is privacy, because all that information that you give to them in terms of, like, if you ask it to write up a proposal for you, or if you ask it to edit an email or document, that information that you asked of it, those services store and they remember about you, and that's forever. They own that information that you gave them in terms of asking them to do something. And so that's one of the things that, if you don't want that information being stored by somebody else, try Venice. They encrypt communication between you and them, and that the results, anything that it gives back to you, that is stored on the server, and it's not stored on their server. It's stored on your browser in a cache that you can delete yourself for your own privacy. So that's the reason why Venice is great. Try them out, venice.ai/moondog. And if you like them, you can get 20% off a full service just by using code Moondog. And let me just double check that I have my phone on mute, because I'd hate to be disturbed in the middle of this live stream. All right, so here's an early bird clue for everybody who showed up. This is the company that I used to get here. This is the reason why I chose them. I actually was able to work on this in the car for a little bit and update this episode. But here's your clue. This is a ride sharing / hailing service. And if you know who this is, just type in their name with a hashtag into the side chat. And no need to use an umlaut, just to use the word, and you'll be entered into the contest. And what am I giving away today? Well, glad you asked. And no, I think I put it in my inside luggage. But anyway, I have some patches for you. And unfortunately, whoop, hope that wasn't anything too dangerous that over to the side there. I have some patches for you, and I will be giving them away. I'm giving away 2 of them today as to the winners here. And I'll be mailing them out. They are I'm pretty sure they were Kel-Tec patches, if I remember, if I packed them before I left. But my intention was to be actually give them away and to mail them out from here. Okay. So let's get on to the new videos. Now, if you've been watching, I posted up a video last weekend, and it was for this brand new enclosed emitter red dot. And I was scrambling to get this out because they had just released it just before July 4th. And right now it's on sale in a couple of different places. If you can believe this, the Osite S that came out last year was one of the smallest enclosed emitter red dots that were around, but a lot of people didn't like the fact that it was a rechargeable. And even though I said that actually it has pretty good battery life, and more importantly, you can tell by using the rechargeable cover what kind of how much of a charge it has. Well, still people didn't like the idea of having an internal battery that you couldn't change. So Osite listened, and they put out a coin battery version of the Osite S, the Osite SE. And let me just share a short video of that.
This is the Osite SE, and if you have a sense of deja vu, it's because this looks pretty much like an Osite S, which I've also reviewed. So what's the difference? Well, this has a battery tray. Yes, it's an Osite with a replaceable battery, but does that make it better? Let's find out.
So that's a little teaser. You can watch the full review video on my channel on Moondog 2A, and it works really well. It has 3 different reticles that you can switch out of. You can either have a dot, you could have a circle, or a circle dot, and it is it's relatively compact. It's smaller than a lot of just regular reflex sites, but this is an enclosed emitter, so it's smaller than most enclosed emitters out there, which tend to have a pretty bulky on top. And it's RMSC footprint, so you could put this onto a concealed carry pistol, as long as, of course, you have the correctly cut slide. I had to put it on a conversion plate for my Glock, but if you did have an RMSC cut Glock slide, you could. It's the platform, the base is low enough that you could use your iron sights, which is another positive about this thing. And I kind of wish they would roll out a RMR version of this, because it's actually, I think, because it's smaller than the Osite X. I actually like this better. But all right, so that's what I posted on this weekend. But also, I posted another review also over the weekend. This one is for the new Discovery Optics MPVO. This is a 2 to 12 power MPVO. And what's very interesting about this, or at least noteworthy, is the price. This thing comes in at under 200 clams. So yeah, very affordable. But it's not usually, if it's that inexpensive, people tend to be a little suspicious. Though a lot of budget scopes out there that I've personally reviewed too have been found to be surprisingly good. If you've seen any of my reviews for Monstrum, you know that their scopes are actually pretty darn good for being under $200. Well, this is a Discovery Optics 2 to 12 that is really a nice 2 to 12 scope. And if you're, I actually I'm replacing my 3 to 9 scope, my standard hunting scope that's on my 1022 with this because it's actually lighter. It was and it actually has a lot more features than my traditional hunting scope. So it's something that definitely you want to take a look at. And let me just share a little bit of
A
teaser
2
that.
to 12 power first focal plane MPVO. All right, we're going to conduct the nipple twister test. We're going to see if this returns back to its starting point after I turn the heck out of these turrets. I'm going to start with elevation here and see if I turn this for like 15 seconds. And then turn our windage like crazy and see how that goes. All right, let's dial this back to its factory 0 on the turret, and then dial this back. Oh, wrong way.
Oh, way up. Turned it the wrong way.
All right, and we're right back where we started.
Yeah, so surprisingly, even though it's a budget scope, it passed it passed Cyclops Joe's nipple twister test. So yeah, it's actually pretty good. And as hey Pick, I see that you're driving, and I was in the car as well. So thanks for joining us. And so that's what I posted on Moondog 2A this week. And on Moondog Reviews, I posted a review of a $4,899 binocular. Now, unfortunately, I did not get a chance to actually get a sample of this to test out. This was a booth video visit with Swarovski at SHOT Show. But I wanted to show you this really cool pair of binoculars. It's AI-powered binoculars. And the reason it's $4,000, it's almost $5,000, is because it has built-in AI that can identify the animal that you're looking at. Yep.
So basically you're going to take a picture of the bird with these binoculars and it's going to tell you what you're looking at. It has mammal ID, the ability to take photos and videos that you can save. So whatever you're looking at and experiencing, you can share with others. High tech, giving you information, analyzing those photos and being able to tell you what you have. It's got over 8,000 bird species all over the world. You can take these to Africa, to the Amazon, anywhere you want to go. It uses GPS to actually enhance the accuracy, so it knows what where you are, and it can determine what bird species are actually in that region. But really, really neat piece of tech. High-end glass, packed full of features. First smart binocular out there. We released these at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show last year. And it's really fun to get the word out. People are really excited about these.
Now, what's the MSRP or map of these going to be?
Around $4,900.
Damn! Yeah, that's pretty much how I reacted when I heard the price of that thing. But given all that it can do, it is not all that surprising. And Swarovski binoculars to begin with are pretty expensive. Well, they're really high quality for sure. They're some of the best binoculars out there in terms of just overall design. This I found out from my buddy Dark Lord of Optics. He really had high praise for Swarovski glass, but this one has built-in AI in that it can identify the animal that you're looking at. It has GPS so that it can, I guess, filter out animals that wouldn't be in your area, so that it can minimize misidentification of animals. Interestingly, when I was talking to the rep that was there, is that just to be aware, that if you took these binoculars to, say, a zoo, and you were looking at an ostrich, it may not identify the ostrich simply because the GPS is telling it it's in North America and there are no ostriches native in North America, or things like that. So it can be spoofed a bit because it is geolocating where the binoculars are. But I thought that was interesting. And it's just amazing what kind of technology. And this is, by the way, this is all built into the scope. It is. I was asking if you had to like sync it to your phone and use the phone, just like you're looking through the internet. But no, all that information is in the binoculars itself. So, yeah. As Tim Mooney says, cool tech. Won't be long before less expensive clones appear on the market. I hope. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a what do you think? There's going to be an Arkin version or maybe a Discovery Optics version of this telescope. Athlon came out with their cheaper version of the Garmin, so maybe, who knows? And he added, at 5K, it should be smart enough to know you're in a zoo. True. All right. So that's what I saw and shared on my Moondog Gadget Reviews channel. And in my Moondog Go channel, I posted a couple of videos. On July 4th, I posted a video from my visit to the Metropolitan Museum in New York. And I won't play the video because essentially what and you can see it. You can see it on Moondog Go. But what I was struck by when I went to go see when I was at the Metropolitan Museum was how big this painting is. And if you can see here, it is life size. I mean, the George Washington in the painting is like 6 feet tall. And I didn't realize that the painting was that big, because you never know. You see, when I was growing up looking at textbooks, they didn't show the people in front of the painting. They just showed the painting in the textbook. And I assumed it was something that would fit over your mantle, or in your wall in your living room. But no, this thing is huge, that painting. So I posted that up on July 4th. And I also posted this video on July 4th. I don't know if you can hear this, but this is the view from a hilltop above San Francisco. And those are all illegal fireworks. That is the view and sound of freedom, because aerial fireworks have been illegal in California for quite a number of years, and they were trying to do Gavin Newsom was trying to do a crackdown. So this is basically great for me to see, because it's kind of an FU to Gavin Newsom. So, and that pretty much started. I mean, there's always been a little bit of illegal fireworks in the city, especially in the sort of rougher part of town. But over the starting with 2020 and COVID, it really just went off the charts in terms of the amount of fireworks, and those fireworks were going on until well into like 2 a.m. Typically, every year it's like that. And what amuses me is people complaining about the fireworks on July 4th on various social media like Nextdoor. And I understand if you can't get any sleep, yes, but when they're complaining about fireworks, and I literally saw this, complaining about the fireworks disturbing their diabetes rescue cat, the person who probably posted that has blue hair. No, just what I'm saying, either that or pink hair. So, all right. I also posted videos from my big airsoft game the other weekend that I went out to the East Coast to organize. This is an annual event that I organized every year for the last 15 years. And it raises money for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, which is now called Breakthrough T1D. But we raised over, by my estimates, about 11,000. I've got to get the final accounting for that, but somewhere around that neighborhood this weekend, or the previous weekend. And we had about 450 attendees. And in previous years before COVID, we had over 1,000 players come out for this event. So it's great. And Tim Mooney says, each year fireworks sellers should set up on the state line. They do, Tim. They're on the Nevada state line. Yeah. And of course, there are complaints from California that there are the booths. People go there and buy illegal fireworks in Nevada and bring them over. And that's the case also in New York, because you can see it right on the state line. When I went out to Pennsylvania, there's phantom fireworks. There's billboards for them on the New York side saying, come get fireworks just across the border in Pennsylvania. So it's hilarious. But anyway, here's the Bad Blood highlights video that I posted on Moondog Go. All right, so just give you a little bit of a taste. It's the highlight video. So in this game, I've I've let people sign up for four different teams, factions as we call them. Three of them are warring factions in a civil war, and there's Green's army, there's the Black and Tans, and there's Deus Ex, and they're identified and separated by different camo types that attendees can wear to identify who's on their side and who's on the opposing teams. There's also a fourth team that is the natives, the tribal militia, and those are the ideas that the setting is that you're in the Congo in Africa, and there's a civil war that's broken out, and the three warring factions are traveling around all through the countryside looking for remnants, Ebola virus samples, and they're of course going through the villages and territories of the people who live there, and they've set up militias to keep outsiders from coming in and infecting them with Ebola, because this is in the middle of an Ebola outbreak, and that's the reason there's a civil war. Anyway, that's the storyline, and it's an interesting game where you travel with your faction around the field looking for these Ebola samples, which are in the form of rubber stamps, and only a small group of lab techs in your army can handle the rubber stamp, the samples. And your goal as an army is to get all of the 4 samples that are on the field, and there's also 4 samples on the person of the commanders of 3 of the factions. So a total of 7 different factions, 7 different samples that you can earn that day. Plus there's a bonus sample that you could get at the night game before the evening before the main game. So it was about a 5-6 hour nonstop game in the Endless Mountain region of northeastern Pennsylvania on the 29th of June. And it was a great event. And it's still being run every year, but I've handed off the production details to my longtime co-producer, Ian Sonic, aka Sonic, and Ian Connolly is going to be running the show moving forward. And I wish him and all the volunteers and my former team really the best of luck in really growing this event even further than I could. And it was challenging because I was organizing all of this from San Francisco, the West Coast, and I didn't have the opportunity like I did when I was living on the East Coast to go up to the field before the game, do an inspection, and see what the conditions change, and make tweaks to the game prior to in in uh, in reference to changes to the field, whether it's the foliage conditions or new structures or things that they built. So I really couldn't do the game justice, I felt, which is why the reason why I stepped back. I stepped down from the position of running the game, and I thought that both the players and for the experience would be better served with somebody who had boots on the ground and close enough to the field that they could do some prep work. I oftentimes had a practice game, a free practice game, a couple of months before the main game, where I would invite my volunteer staff who played leadership roles to come and sort of play through the game so that they also could get a sense of the field conditions. And that's something that I couldn't do when living in San Francisco. So that's one of the other key reasons why I stepped down as the game producer for that event. But it's a great event and it's a great charity. So I really encourage everybody, if you have an opportunity and you're near Pennsylvania and especially, that sort of New York, Philadelphia region, to go check it out, especially if you're into airsoft. All right. For this episode, I actually wasn't able to get any suggestions from last week's episode because it was a pre-recorded episode, but I wanted to get your thoughts and suggestions on a good headline for this thumbnail for these Pro Hear in-ear earbuds. And I'm going to go with best budget pew pew buds, unless you guys can think of a better headline or better headlines. We have the opportunity to on YouTube to do these what they call A/B tests, but really it's ABC tests, because you can post up 3 different thumbnails, and people who will randomly get selected one of the thumbnails as shown by YouTube in their suggestions, and depending on which, I will get a response to see which of the thumbnails gets clicked on more. And so I have an opportunity to add 2 additional options for thumbnails. If you guys have any thoughts or suggestions for them, you can post them onto the side chat. So these are Pro Hear in-ear earbuds. They have Bluetooth so that you can sync into your phone, and actually as earbuds, they aren't bad. They don't sound as nice as, say, Apple EarPods, but they're also like half the price, and plus the fact that they do block out range noise, so you can use them if you are going to the range and shooting firearms. All right, here's the next clue for the name of the brand. This is an American multinational transportation company that provides ride-hailing services, courier service, food delivery, and freight transport. So if you know of this multinational ride-hailing company that everybody has an app for, it seems, on their phone, and if you need a ride somewhere, this is probably the most popular service and app to do ride hailing from your phone. And it's become so popular and ubiquitous that it's practically a verb now. So if you happen to know who this is, which company this is, put in hashtag and the name of the company on the right, in the side chat. All right, down the rabbit hole. And now I had intended to have a guest on here from Crunch Fitness, and we're going to talk about AI, but because of delays to my flight out of San Francisco, I missed the opportunity to have him on. And so I wanted to take the time now, since we don't have a guest, to talk about the experience of having the flight delay. Now, I flew on Frontier, and this is not a dig on Frontier. I actually like flying with them for a couple of different reasons, but primarily because they are one of the most affordable airlines out there. And they have some really interesting features. I mean, that's making them, not only do this regular airfares are they inexpensive, but They have some additional things like kids fly free. So kids under, as long up to 13, can fly free with a paid ticket purchase. Now they have limited windows of certain days that's available, but I flew with my son here to Los Angeles, and I didn't have to. I didn't have to. I didn't have to pay for his flight back. There was a blackout window around July 4th, so this still included July 4th blackout period. But for the flight back, he was free, so that really reduced the price. And the other thing that happened about one other thing about how cheap Frontier is, they also offer a service where you can fly unlimited. You just have to pay a flat monthly fee, and I think it's something like, I think it's very affordable. I want to say that I saw it for as low as like $39 a month. I can't believe that. I have to Google this, but it was really inexpensive. Frontier unlimited flights. It's called the Go Wild All You Can Fly Pass, and it is you can buy an annual pass for $5.99. Monthly passes are $99. Limited time offer. First month free, and it's $150 a month after that. So, yeah, that is how cheap it is to fly. I mean, if I was younger and when I was single and I loved to travel, I would have just jumped on this. That's when I used to travel and just on the weekends and just go somewhere that I always found interesting. Like when I took a long weekend trip to Nashville and to Graceland is one of those kind of trips that I took on a local airline. But if Frontier was around back then, I would totally made use of it. Now, the flight here was delayed for a somewhat mechanical reason, and they were saying that they were checking something and that a decal had come off the plane. I don't know what that decal is. If it's some sort of safety decal that needs to be on about no step here, or maybe it's the decal that says jet fuel only, or who knows what was missing or damaged on the side of the plane. And because of FAA regulations, that decal needs to be visible and on the plane. They had to take time to replace that. Now, I always take the messages from the pilots with a little bit of a grain of salt, because they generally try to downplay any mechanical issues. But whatever it was, our flight ended up being about 45 minutes late to take off. So that was annoying, but that happens, and I'd rather a plane be safe, 100% safe as possible, and be late than have something that like Air India. Am I wrong here? Now, the reason I'm bringing this up for this episode is because I think because Frontier is so inexpensive, the flights could get really crowded, and the space between the seats is very minimal. And the seats themselves, I have to say, are some of the most uncomfortable, hard the seats, the actual where you put your butt on, are some of the hardest I've sat on in a commercial airline. And it's an Airbus A321neo. So it's a newer plane, but yeah, those seats are really uncomfortable. And I just noticed that the kind of people on the plane, well, I think it's because they're so cheap. There's a lot of people on the plane that don't usually fly, so they don't know how to behave on a plane, and it's kind of annoying. I mean, I'm not as much of a real road warrior or a frequent flyer as I used to be, but I know how to, what you're supposed to do when you get on a plane. You're not supposed to put your bags, your side bags, or your purse, or your backpack on the overhead. You're supposed to leave as much room for people with rolling carriers. And when the before as soon as you land, you're not supposed to get up and start, getting your stuff from the top, not until you get to the gate, things like that. So they had to go in the PA and tell people not to do certain things, and they had to remind people to turn off their phones, because people were having conversations with the speakerphone on their phone. I mean, I find that annoying to begin with when you're out in public, but the fact that they had to remind people not to do that inside of the plane, was when we were delayed and sitting and waiting there. It's obvious that, it's normal for people to grab their phone and to call people and tell them that, oh, I'm going to be there late, or I'm going to be arriving late. Yeah, you should do that. That's perfectly fine, but don't put it on speakerphone, for heaven's sake. It just seems like when you're flying Frontier, it's a little bit like flying Greyhound or something, or the your local mass transit, or as I would call in San Francisco, Muni. It's just that kind of level of behavior and just overall rudeness of some of the passengers in talking to each other. On the flight, I took Frontier to New York the other week to go to the Airsoft event. And I had one of those flights where a woman who was sitting in the aisle across from us was watching some movie on her phone and had it on. You were told you can use your devices, just have headphones or earbuds, or turn the sound to mute. But no, she was like full on watching a movie with the sound turned up on her phone, and the attendants came back multiple times to tell her, please, to turn it down. And finally, we were like an hour outside of landing in New York, in JFK, and they finally said, ma'am, we've come back multiple times. We've told you to turn your phone to mute. We're going to have to tell the authorities when we land. And then she starts getting irate, saying, well, why haven't you done anything about the mosquitoes on this plane? And by the way, this was a stopover in Orlando. And I was thinking, mosquitoes. Okay, I've been on planes that had mosquitoes on them when I was traveling to Asia, but it's like, lady, you just got on the plane in Orlando. There are mosquitoes in Orlando. It came in with you. So why are you complaining to Frontier that there are mosquitoes on the plane? And she was just like arguing back with the flight attendant. You don't want to argue with a flight attendant, because as soon as we landed, they said, please stay in your seats until the authorities get on the plane. They escorted her out, and her demeanor totally changed. Well, I'm kind of glad, because it didn't turn into one of those scenes that you see on TV where the person starts fighting with the air police, because that could have easily have happened. But no, she was totally all like, oh, I'm sorry, can I get my luggage? She was all super polite now. And then they escorted her out, and then they let us get off the plane. But yeah, just some of the behavior of the people on planes, I don't understand. Yeah, I really don't. Tim Mooney says mosquitoes are better than snakes on a plane. Absolutely. So I've seen some weird animals, pests on planes, on Asian flights. So yeah, mosquitoes are the least of my concerns on a plane. I've seen cockroaches. But that's part of the deal. If you're flying into a tropical country, you're gonna, the doors are open, and you're walking in with stuff and people's luggage. Who knows? As long as it's not snakes on a plane, or scorpions, or anything like that, or centipedes. Yeah, I'll take mosquitoes anytime over that. But let me know if you guys had any experiences with just really bad behavior on planes. And I don't know if it's just sort of a spillover, or just general bad behavior with a lot of people. And I don't want to say that it's people, the generality that people don't have manners anymore, because everybody complains about that every generation. And certainly when I was a kid, I'd see on TV people complaining about people don't know how to behave in a civilized manner. But yeah, I feel like I'm an old curmudgeon when I complain about people's behavior in public. But yeah, I feel like people don't know how to be civilized, especially when you're traveling in an enclosed pressurized metallic can 30,000 feet in the air. The last thing you want to do is make a nuisance of yourself in that kind of situation. It's not like you're on a bus and you can just get off, at the next stop. You're not getting off until the plane lands, and heaven forbid you make such an ass of yourself on the plane that the pilot is forced to land in an emergency airport somewhere before you have to land. I hope that never happened to you. And Tim Mooney says, how many times is alcohol involved in when passengers are unruly? I wonder that. In this case, the behavior that I saw generally, isn't as didn't seem as much alcohol related. In fact, I don't see as many people arriving onto planes drunk. It depends on the kind of time of year situation. Like if you're coming on a flight back from Mardi Gras or from Super Bowl, yeah, you're going to have some people who are a little more tipsy than others. But I'm just talking about like in middle of the day of the week kind of flight. And now, yeah, literally, I'm flying on a Wednesday. Yeah. 1957 Porsche says they want first class service for Spirit and Frontier. Yeah, I think that some people are just too freaking entitled in terms of their expectations of how people should, or at least how people, the airlines and the airline staff should be treating them. And I don't, and they don't sort of reciprocate or give that kind of courtesy to them. Now, also, to be fair, some of the flight attendants on Frontier were some of the, I wouldn't call them rude, but they certainly were kind of more like your elderly aunt or an older teacher at a public school. They weren't having any of it. So they were telling people off, like, you better sit down. It was like, whoa, okay, I've never heard a flight attendant use that tone or those words on a flight. So it was an interesting experience for sure. And I'm still going to fly Frontier at least for short flights like this for sure. And when I go to SHOT Show, they're some of the most affordable flights to Las Vegas. As Portia says, we're all in the boat together. Be kind. Absolutely. Mark Morris says, I gave my wife 1.5 bars of Xanax before she flies. Yeah. Tim Mooney says, some passengers drink to take the edge off before flying. Absolutely. And I know a lot of people still are out there who don't like to fly. I certainly don't like to fly as much as I used to when I was younger. I used to really be excited about flying. And then as I got older and I flew more, it just became a chore. So, and I know people are still kind of nervous about being in an enclosed space, and some people are afraid of heights. So yeah, I totally get it. Anyway, that's just sort of my rant. So I arrived to LAX late, and they're preparing LAX for the upcoming, I think, regional finals for the World Cup that's coming next year. And they're also preparing it for the Olympics that are coming in, I believe, in 3 years from now, in 2028. So they're doing a lot of construction around the airport, expanding it. And when we arrived at the international terminal, Frontier has gates in the international terminal rather than domestic. We had to board a shuttle bus to get us over to our baggage claim. And then you could either take a shuttle or walk to a pickup area, a separate parking lot for rideshare services like Uber and Lyft and taxis. So you had to go over there. It was actually a 5-minute walk, actually less. It was a 5-minute walk from the baggage claim. But if we waited for the shuttle bus, it would have taken 25 minutes, is what the shuttle bus driver says. It's just a 5-minute walk that way, or you could stay on the bus with me for 25 minutes. And so we walked, and fortunately it wasn't too hot in LA, but it is about 80. It's going to be like 89 degrees here, so it's a warm day. All right, so down the rabbit hole. Final clue for the contest here. Name the brand. This brand was founded in San Francisco in 2009 by Garrett Camp and Travis Kalanick. It came, the idea for the brand came from their difficulties in hailing a cab, and also their dissatisfaction with the cost of renting, of getting limo service. So they created this app and company for ride sharing and ride hailing, though they call it ride sharing. And the actual word is pronounced, I believe, Oba. And just Americans mispronounce it because they're not used to pronouncing the umlaut. And it means over or superior in German. So get your hashtags in. And if you win, I'm going to be doing the drawing for 3 winners of patches today. And if you win, be sure to put in a hashtag. Let me post up my email address for the contest on the side chat right now. So if you win the drawing, be sure to email me at that email address, moondogairsoft@gmail.com, and I've posted it in the side chat for those of you who are here live. Well, hopefully you're watching this live or listening to it in either case. Now, I also wanted to let you know that we'll be doing the drawing for the Ion Jet today, and that is the mile long, actually more than a mile long laser rangefinder on this episode. So, but I also wanted to point you to a contest that's going on this month on my website, which is to win the CV Life 1 to 10 first focal plane LPVO. And I will post up a link here. You can go to moondogindustries.com/contest and you get details. I got a question here from Porsche Speedster. How do you get the backing off the Moondog sticker? Oh, are you having trouble with it? I thought there was a little. If there's no slit in the center, then I guess you just really have to find an edge that comes loose. But yeah, sorry about that. If it ends up tearing or whatever on that sticker because of the way that the backing is really too close, just let me know, Porsche Speedster, and I'll send you another one. And as Two Mooney says, his tip is carefully. All right, so let's do the drawing right now. Let me just load up share screen for the giveaway for the Ion Jet. So to enter the contest, you've had to have gone to my website and uploaded a screenshot of your subscribe button from Moondog Go and have done so before the end of June. But these are all of the entrants for the contest from June. So we're going to pick a winner. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Michael Eulis. Congratulations. I will be emailing you. And let me just double check here that Michael Eulis, where are you on this? Oh, here we are. So Michael Eulis of North Carolina. So I will be emailing you, and hopefully you are watching this, and congratulations. And now let's bring up our contest for today. And for everybody who's gotten their hashtag in for Uber instead of Uber, you don't have to include the umlauts, just UBER in the side chat, and you'll be entered into the drawing. So let me just bring that in, share screen for the giveaway. And we're going to do, okay, there's only 3 entries, so that's going to be easy. All right. So who's going to win? It's either going to be Mark Morris or Porsche Speedster or Tim Mooney. Porsche Speedster this time. Delta J. I think we actually got an extra entry in. Tim or Mark? Tim or Mark? Tim! Congratulations, Tim. Okay. So, guys, please do me a favor and send me an email at moondogairsoft@gmail.com. You can find the link in the side chat, and I will get these patches over to you from sunny Los Angeles. And next week, I will be having a special episode. Hopefully, if all goes well and we don't have any more transportation mishaps today or next week, I will be broadcasting live from evic.com. That's the nation's largest online airsoft retailer. And this is their superstore in Los Angeles that I'll be going to. And hopefully I'll be broadcasting directly from there and giving you a live stream tour, if all goes well, walkthrough live of their superstore. So tune in next week. Same time, that'll be 3 p.m. Pacific time, Wednesday, or 6 p.m. Eastern time. So hopefully you guys can join us. And I don't know, maybe I'll be able to give you some swag from EVIC. It's the best place for it. So anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for bearing with me in this rather unusual and very challenging day today for the live stream, but I appreciate everybody who tuned in. So you be safe out there. God bless. Moondog out.
Hey, I'd like to know what you thought of this video. Leave me a comment or chat with me on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, MeWe, Instagram, or Locals. And if you want to see all of my videos, go to moondogindustries.com.